Hi, in today's video I'm going to show you how I created this shadow box. This has been requested many times on my YouTube channel and through messages through my blog and website, how to make a shadow box. So if you want to know how I made this in ScanNCut canvas, keep watching. In this video I'm going to try and show you the process I went through to make my shadow box in ScanNCut canvas. Now, I watched a few videos on YouTube and they were using scoreboards and, or score tools and rulers or scoreboards. So what I did, I watched one of the videos and then I decided that to make it a little bit more manageable, because they all tend to use 12 by 12 or, bigger pieces of card. I thought I'd start off with 8 by 8. So I cut a piece of paper, and this is my prototype paper. I cut a piece of paper at 8 by 8 and I decided that I would make my box width and height 1/2 inch. So using the principles I'd seen in another video, I started scoring at 1/2 inch intervals and I made 4 score lines. Then I turned it and I did another 4, and I did that on all 4 sides. And then they tell you that you've got to put extra score lines in and make these angles. But when I'd done this, I noticed that, to me, an obvious thing to me was that I had 2-inch squares in 4 corners. And that's what I'm colouring here in pink for you to see. So these were my score lines, 1/2 inch, 1 inch, 1.5, 2, and I went over those in pen to highlight them. And then, as I say, they tell you to put some extra score lines in and make some funny angle, but when I drew my pen lines in to do what they were saying in their video, it became evident to me that this is another shape, this blue section here. So with that in mind, they were the shapes that I then decided to try and use in ScanNCut canvas. Hopefully it'll make a bit more sense when I go to canvas in a minute, but I just wanted to try and show you the thought process that I went through to make this project. I'll also show you, this is the prototype I made in paper. So I made this visual aid, then I went over to canvas, put it all together in canvas, and this was my prototype. It's not gone together too well here, but that's just because it's paper, and that was my sticking more than anything. And then I just made a little box on my scoreboard, just worked out what sizes I needed and made a box to make it fit. If you want to see how to make a box to make it fit using a scoreboard, leave me comments under this video. So now I'm going to go over to canvas and we'll get started on how to make the project. Okay, so I'm in ScanNCut canvas with a new blank page, and bearing in mind the paper version I've just shown you that was starting off with a piece of paper 8 by 8 and then you cut away your 2-inch corners. I came into canvas and I went to the basic shapes and I got a rectangle, and with it selected, go into the properties box. I made it, I'm going to untick maintain aspect ratio, and I'm going to make it 8 inches high and 4 inches wide. With that selected, I'm going to hit the D on my keyboard to create a duplicate, or you can right click and hit duplicate, however you make your duplicate. With the duplicate selected, I'm going to hold the shift key down and grab the rotate handle and rotate it twice. Now I'm going to select both. I'm going to come to edit, align center, and edit, align middle. And they are now perfectly centered. And effectively, this is what I've just shown you in paper with the 2-inch corners taken away. Okay, so with that selected, I'm going to go to edit and weld, and that's just going to start the process of my basic shape. Now the next thing I need is a square, and with it selected, I'm going to make this, I'm going to tick maintain aspect ratio, and I'm going to make this 0.5, so a 1/2 inch square. And then the other thing I need is a rectangle. So with the square selected, I'm going to hit duplicate and then I'm going to drag it out until it's 1.5 inches, or I can come over here and untick maintain aspect ratio and change this to 1.5 by 1/2 inch. It doesn't really matter. So I'm just going to put that on one side for now. And these are the two elements that I'm going to use for now. So I'm just going to zoom in. I'm going to change the square to red in the hope that you can see it better. You don't have to do this, it's just for you to see on the video. I'm going to position it on top of the rectangle, select them both, align them on the bottom edge, and then I'll just get rid of that, and then centre them. So they're now centred, so they're on top of each other, perfectly centred. And I've just gone and move that. So now I want to select the rectangle, and the rectangle is on top. If it isn't, just right click and send it to the back. And what I'm going to do now is just select it one more time so that I get the editing nodes. And this node in the bottom right hand corner, I'm just going to drag up until it grabs the top right hand corner of the red box, and you'll see a square appear when you know you've got it there, and then I'm going to let go. So that's my shapes now. So I'm just going to go back to the mat and bring this in. I don't need that square for now, so I can move it off to the side. So what I'm going to do, with this rectangle here that's got the angled corner, I'm going to change it to blue to see if you can see it better, or change it to another colour. Don't know which works better actually on screen. Let's stick with blue. So I'm going to hit the D on my keyboard to create a duplicate. With the duplicate selected, I'm going to come to Edit and Flip Horizontally. I'm going to select those two and hit D on my keyboard to give me another two. And now I'm just going to work with the top half of the rectangle. So I'm going to bring these over into this corner, and then I'm just going to zoom in on this section. So what I want now, I want this rectangle to line up with the top of my base card, and the same over here. But I want the edge of the blue rectangle to just overlap the base card ever so slightly. If I zoom in, you can see I'm going to take it up a little bit because it's not quite level at the top. And I want a bit of the black showing from the base card. And I may have to fiddle around with this. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to select this and I'm going to go Edit, Subtract. And that's cut that angle away for me. And I'm going to do the same on this side. But what I'm going to do, I'm just going to select these two and go Edit, Align on the top, just to make sure they're aligned together. And now I'm going to go Edit, Subtract. I need to send the base card to the back. So Edit, Subtract. Okay, so if I go back to Fit to Mat, that's the basic shape. Now just to make it easier, I'm going to select it, hold the Shift key down and rotate it so it's upside down. And then I'm going to do the same. I'm going to bring these two up. I'm just going to zoom in just on this section. I want to align, send the base card to the back, align the two blue sections up so that they're on the top of this. So I can select both and go edit top and they'll all line up together, or I can use the arrows on the keyboard. Then I'm going to select this one and just using the left arrow on my keyboard, I'm going to scoot it over one bit so I can see a bit of black, and do the same here over to the right. And when I zoom in, hopefully, you should see, I can see a tiny little bit of the black there. I'm going to select those and go edit subtract. That's taken that angle away, and then just using my mouse scrolling across, select that. You can do it both together, but I like to do them separately. Now that one, first of all, I need to right click and send the base card to the back, and then just try it again, edit, subtract. There you go. So now when I go fit to matte, that's the shape. Okay, and now you need to apply some score lines. If you don't like putting the dash lines in Canvas, you can just cut this like this and put your score lines in at every ½ inch. If you don't want the tabs in, you can leave the tabs off at this point. It's entirely up to you. But I'm going to put tabs in here and here. So I'm going to use this square. So I'm going to duplicate it by hitting the D key on my keyboard. I'm going to drag it out until it's 5 inches wide. And I can make it exact if I want. And then I'm going to position it up here. While it's selected, I'm going to make another duplicate and bring that one down here. Now, with the red rectangle selected, I'm going to hold my shift key down and select the other red rectangle just so I've got those two selected. I'm going to go edit center so they line up together and right click and group. Now I'm going to select the base card and the red rectangles and go edit center so they all line up together. Now everything's selected and the rectangles are equal distance on either side of this card, I'm going to go edit weld. Now I'm going to zoom in and I'm just going to select the box and double click to get the nodes. And now I'm going to drag the bottom one up and in ever so slightly. These are just to make your notches. When you make this box and you come to put your glue on these and fold them in, if they're not right, just trim them with your scissors. But you can do it, you know, in Canvas here. Just try and keep this edge straight if you can. Then scroll down and do the same to the bottom ones. So just bring this one in and up. And do the same here. Just bring them in and up just to make your little notches. It doesn't matter if they're shorter in distance here than the ½ inch. You just want them so that they tuck into your box properly. So if I go back to the mat now, so that's how we're looking. Now I'm going to add the score lines. So I'm going to use this square again. This section here is still 4 inches wide. So I'm going to drag this out until I make this 4 inches by ½ inch. And I want this to be exact. I'm going to duplicate it 2 more times and then I'm going to line them up and I'm going to zoom in so you can see what I'm doing. Now I'm just selecting these 3 and I'm going to go edit and align to the left and then click away. I want the top line of this middle rectangle to be exactly on top of the bottom line of this top rectangle. So using the arrows on my keyboard, I'm going to take it up until they overlap and I'm going to do the same with this. And if you use the arrows on your keyboard, because we've aligned them all to the left edge, they should all line up perfectly. I'm going to select them all and right click and make them a group. And I'm only using this as a guide to put some score lines in. So now I'm going to come to the path tool. I'm going to left click once in this top. When I go near it, you'll see a square appears without me touching the mouse at all. So once I see that square, I'm going to left click and then I'm going to drag out a straight line until I see the square appear in this corner. Then I'm going to double click to anchor it. While it's selected, I'm going to come to the properties box and I'm going to make it green or something so that hopefully you can see it. And with it still selected, I'm going to come down here, I'm going to make it a cut line and then I'm going to choose a dashed pattern, and I think I chose this third one. Now I'm going to come back to the path tool and do the same here. So I'm going to hover over this line until I get the square, drag out my line, double click to anchor it, make it a cut line, make it a dash line, and then do the same for the next two. And the last one. Now, if I left click on anywhere on the page to deselect and then just click in the middle here, I should get the red box, and I have. So I can now delete that. So I've now got 4 score lines, which I'm going to select everything and group. And they are at 1/2 inch intervals by 4 inches. So if I now come back to the mat, put the shift key down and rotate twice, they are my score lines that are going to fit in here and here. And I want 2 lots of them. So with this selected, I'm going to hit the D on my keyboard to create a duplicate. And I'm going to put them. So I'm going to grab this and drag it over here. Now I'm going to zoom right in on this section, and I want to position this first score line so it runs off this red section here. So I'm going to position it there. You can zoom in even more if you want. So I'm just going to line it up so it's flush here. Then I'm going to come along, just using the mouse on my keyboard to scroll along, and I'm going to grab this one and line that one up as well. Now I'm going to come back to fit to mat just so I can see what I'm doing. I'm going to select all those and right click and group. Now this one, I'm going to hold my shift key down and rotate it twice, and then I'm going to make this one 3 inches. So I'm just going to grab the right hand side and drag it in until it's 3 inches, and with it selected, I'm going to right click and ungroup and then left click anywhere to deselect, and I just want to grab the top 2 dash lines, and while I've got them selected, make them a group, then grab the bottom 2 and make them a group. So right click and group. So I've now got 2 separate sections of dash lines. I'm going to grab one of them and bring it over here, and grab the other section and bring it down here. So now I want to position these on this corner here. And again, I'm going to zoom in on that section and bring it down. Just going to go back out to the mat and grab the other one. You can't always pick them up. With them being so tiny, you can't always get the crosshairs to pick them up. So I've got them now. I'm just going to zoom in to bring it down. and line it up so it lines up on that corner there. Like that. Now I can go back to the map. So now I'm going to select all those and make those a group. It's a bit fiddly, but if you take your time, all your score lines will be in the right place and your box will go together, you know, and fit lovely. Now I'm just going to zoom in on here and I'm just going to manually put these last two score lines in. So I'm going to come to the path tool, come over here and click on this corner, hold my shift key down, drag my line out, double click to anchor it, go to the properties box, make it a cut line and make it a dash line. Then I'm going to come to the path tool again, come over here and a box will appear because you've got a corner. Left click, drag a line out, double click to anchor it, make it a cut line and choose the dash line. Then I'm just going to scroll up and do the same. Path tool, click, left click to anchor it, make it a cut line, make it a dash line, and the last one, left click, drag a line out, cut line and dash line. Now, if you just want to check how this one is looking, if you've got it in the right place, you can zoom in. So you want it to line up with the top of this angle and then just go up and check that your other one is in the same place. So go back to the map now. All our lines are in place. I'm going to drag a box around everything and group it. Now, once you've got all that done, I would give it a name up here and then save it in your projects. Now, the way I made the frame, I know that this is 4x4. So I came back to the basic shapes, grabbed a square, made it 4 inches by 4 inches. I made sure maintain aspect ratio was checked and made it 4 inches. Then I created a duplicate by hitting D on my keyboard. I made the duplicate 3 inches. Positioned it on top of the bigger one. Selected both, went to edit center, edit middle, and then edit subtract. But that will cover up all my box and I wanted a little tiny bit of the box showing around it. So I selected the frame, I went to edit, offset, I took the offset down to 0.04 but you could make it bigger and I made it inward. And I said OK, and that just makes my frame ever so slightly smaller, and it just, when I place it over the front of the box, it just gives me a little like 1/8 border all the way round of the box. So I can get rid of that one now. This is the smaller one. And then again, you know, just if you've not already named it, name it, but just make sure you save it. And then I sent that over to Canvas and I'm now going to show you how to put it all together. Okay, to save some time, I've cut the bits out. So I've got my box, I've got the frame, I've cut some flowers and some leaves off the ScanNCut machine. So I'm going to turn this over and I'm going to fold on the dashed lines and just burnish them with my bone folder. I didn't put fold lines on my tabs, so I'm just going to fold those in and burnish them. Now you can use any glue you want. I'm going to try a wet glue because I think it might give me a little bit more wiggle room. So you want to work on the sides that are the two full rectangles first of all, not the ones with the cutout. You're going to fold your tab in and you're going to stick it to the underside of this first section like that, so like you're making a box. So, and you're going to do that on all 4 tabs. So I'm just going to apply a bit of glue on each of those tabs and then fold them in and bring this over, and you want a nice square corner, and I'm just going to hold that together until the adhesive grabs. You could use like a red liner tape or Stampin' Up! Fast Fuse, you know, that's got a quick grab, but personally for boxes or 3D projects I tend to use a wet glue. I just think it holds better in the long run. So I'm just going to hold that there for now till it grabs, then do the same with this tab, fold it in and create my nice box corner, and I'm going to do that on all 4 tabs. So I'm just going to bend the sides that have got the cutouts just out of the way for a bit, and we're going to work on the rectangle shapes. You're now going to apply glue on this first section here on both sides, and then what you're going to do, you're going to fold that in so it makes your square box. So if I get some glue, and then hold it down in place until your adhesive grabs again. It's worth taking your time with this because obviously this is going to determine how your finished box is going to look. So you want to take your time and make sure that your adhesive grabs and everything. So that's how we're looking now. Then you're going to fold these in on both sides, and that's going to create your box. So again, you want to apply adhesive just to the first section of your fold lines. And I'm just doing one at a time. And the last one. If you feel that your box is coming away at the corners, which it shouldn't do if you've, put your score lines in properly, you can put a tiny little bit of glue just on this angle section here. I'll just do it on this end just to show you. Just like that. It's only a tiny little bit, but you shouldn't really need it. So once you've got this all tucked in, and then just hold it all in place. And there's your box frame all made, and then you can decorate it up. So you can put your frame on the outside. This is the bit that came out of the middle of the frame. I don't know whether to cut it down and put it on the inside. I think I might do actually, so I'll just use my paper trimmer for that. So this measures 3 inches, so I think I'll take it down to 2.75 and see how that looks. Yeah, that's fine. So the bit that's cut out from the frame, I'm going to use on the inside. I'm going to stick that down with the lighter side up. Just going to give it a burnish down with my bone folder. And the sun's come out now, so the brightness has all gone funny on the video, so hopefully you're going to still be able to see what I'm doing. I'm going to stick the frame on. Okay, so that's how we're looking so far. And then for the flowers, to use an old embossing tool and an old mouse mat. Just give these a little bit of dimension. Don't know whether I need all these flowers or not, but we'll see. This paper, this craft card's quite fibrous, and I've got some stray kind of threads of card, but I think it'll be all right. I'm going to use my foam pads. Just bend these back up again. Bring your box back in and then decide how you're going to put it all together. And stick that one down. This is how we're looking so far anyway. Use some pearls, I think. There you go, so that's how it's looking so far. Obviously I'm only doing this just to show you the assembly, to, you know, to put it together for the video, but you can, you know, do it however you want. And obviously once you've made your design in canvas, you can make it bigger, and you could cut it from 12 by 12 card, and that would give you a bigger box. So please don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you don't already do so. Give the video a thumbs up if you liked it. You can also now find me on Instagram and Patreon, and the links for everything is in the description box underneath this video. So I hope you like the project, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.